Hello, and welcome back to the Misty Morrison Podcast. I'm your host, Misty Morrison, and this is episode 68 of Petty Please. Here on the Misty Morrison Podcast, we love to read or listen. We love to give advice. We love to read all the stories of pettiness, revenge, entitlement, bad bosses, bad neighbors, malicious compliance, all the things, and be grateful that drama is not our story. Before we get into our stories for the day, our usual housekeeping, whether you are new or returning, please remember to engage with the content to help the channel grow. Every little bit of engagement online is free and can help build the dream. If you are listening on podcast, please leave a 5-star review if you liked it. Anywhere else, give it a like, a heart, a thumbs up. Subscribe for more. On YouTube, hit the bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. Share it with a friend. Leave a comment with your thoughts on stories down below. Okay, into our stories for the day. I believe my camera has moved again. Okay. Okay, we'll call that good. Story number 1 is coming to us from r/noisy neighbors. I really don't want to be that person, but this is not just noise. Newish neighbors across the street really are nice. Much better than what was there before. The only problem is when they have friends over, they play really loud music. Right now they have a giant speaker on the top of their car pointing directly at my house. The music is loud, but the bass is making my floors vibrate. We have 3 ACs running and TVs on, and we can not only hear the bass, we can feel it. I get that it is a holiday, but at what point do I say enough is enough? My son is on the spectrum and is going to freak out when he gets home, and this music will play all night. I can hear and feel the bass. It started as a loud rumble that I thought was thunder off in the distance. Now, it's just noise. My brother won't say anything to them, so that will require me to say something. But I have no filter, and when I talk, sometimes it comes over as being rude. I don't sugarcoat anything. If you don't want to be that person, if you don't want to walk over there and say something to them, you pick up the phone, you call the local police department, non-emergency line, and tell them what's happening and ask them to come fix it for you. Because this is certainly violating noise ordinances, regardless of the time of day, because this is beyond unreasonable level of noise. Yeah, you don't have to say anything to them. Call the police, non-emergency. They will come out and handle the problem. Will your neighbors ultimately know it was you? Probably. Will they ultimately know they were being unreasonable in the first place? Hopefully. Either way, problem solved. If they're going to be these kind of neighbors, you don't care if they like you or not. And that way you don't have to worry about not sugarcoating anything. Someone has been in here. Someone always takes Beatrice's hat off when they come in here. Story number 2 is coming to us from r/entitled people. Guess the entitled passengers. I flew Delta today. I was assigned to 23D, but when I got there, an early 20s hippie chick with giant patchwork bell bottoms was sitting in my seat. I asked her politely which seat she was assigned to, and she sort of snarlily replied, 23C. I nicely let her know she was sitting in 23D. She smiled and sheepishly moved. She wasn't entitled. Then a nice oldish, larger, this detail is important to the story, couple came, and the wife politely let me know I was in her seat. I told her I could show my boarding pass, but she had her husband check, and they were actually 23E and F. They apologized and offered me gum and chocolate. The woman in the middle stayed in her space. They weren't entitled. Now, let me tell you about my connecting flight. I am assigned a middle seat, and when I get there, a mother and daughter are on either side of my seat. And they have lots of things on my seat, and nothing under theirs. By the way, they are relaxed in their seats and not trying to move anything under the seats in front of them. I let them know that was my seat, and the daughter grumbles the whole time she was struggling to put her bag under the seat. They both had the armrest up. They were both technically obese. And when I said excuse me and slowly put the armrest down as I sat, the mother let me know she was more comfortable with it up. I gave a smile apology and let her know I needed them down. I did not mention to her that when I got there, over half of my seat was taken up by her and her daughter. Even with the armrest down, they both overflowed in my seat. Their shoulders were so broad they couldn't help, but their legs were lady spreading. And although I asked them more than once to move their legs, they had no problem resting their arms and legs on mine across the armrest barrier. Also, before I sat down, I asked if either wanted to switch me, and of course they said no, but kept talking loudly over me. They passed a few items back and forth before I let them know they needed to stop, and I would still switch with either of them if they need to share things. It was a full flight, so I couldn't move. Also, I'm fairly small and didn't want to cause a commotion over them not fitting in their own seats. Can you guess who is entitled? I mean, it sounds like a rough flight. Sucks that you got stuck in the middle. I honestly don't understand why one of them wouldn't switch with you. Since, if you wanted the middle seat, book the middle seat. Yeah, that's expensive, but I bet they didn't switch with you because as long as they were both on one side of a skinny person, they could overflow into your seat. Whereas if they were sitting side by side, there really would be less available space for them. I feel like you handled it well. Like, you tolerated the rough situation you were in. You asked politely for the things you needed. They declined. You didn't make a fuss about it. Yeah. Story number 3 is coming to us from r/entitled people. Sister keeps coming to our parents' house to use their facilities. My 20 sister is 27 and has her own place with her partner and 2 kids, but she loves to come to her parents' house to use things. We have a gym in the basement that she comes over to use and brings her 2 kids along and makes one of my parents or me watch them while she works out. So she doesn't have to pay a gym membership and also gets free babysitting out of it. Today, I was in the kitchen and she came through with her youngest kid in a stroller and went outside. I asked her what she was doing, and she said she came over to sunbathe because at her house there isn't adequate privacy from her neighbors at the house. My parents have a pretty nice backyard with a pool and sun loungers, and it is blocked by trees on both sides so no one can see in. But I just thought it was kind of ridiculous. She could have went to a public pool or something. During me and my parents' vacations, she has chilled at our parents' house instead of hers a lot of the time for some weird reason, and she just loves using our parents' things, probably because she doesn't have to pay for any of it. Except for when she's asking you to babysit. It doesn't affect you. It's your parents' place. I feel like most parents, when their kids are grown, are tickled to have the kids come over and visit. Regardless of the reason, if they get to see them, talk to them, spend time with them, they're happy. Especially if they have grandkids and she's bringing the grandkids, your parents are probably happy to get that time to spend with their grandkids. All of this sounds like none of your business. Story number 4 is coming to us from r/entitled people. Lady, get in the front if you want to enjoy the view. I'm currently on vacation in a very touristy beach destination in my country. Me and my friends get to the free beach, where you can plant the beach umbrella in the sand wherever you find a spot, as long as everybody respects decent distance. The beach is crowded, but there's some space. The umbrellas are mostly in 3 rows, front row being right in front of the sea. We find a spot in second row and we decide to stop there, when a lady right behind us, third row, tells us to go next to her in her row because it was less windy there. Now, I was not born yesterday. She wanted us to move because we would be blocking her view, but she was more than welcome to go in the front row. We tried to meet her halfway by not standing right in front of her. We moved slightly to the side, but always second row. It's mental to stand in the last row demanding nobody gets in front of you. Yes, it is. If you like the view, get closer to it. It's a free public beach. You don't get to decide what anybody else around you does. They are not invading your space. They took an open space. You chose not to take the space where your view wouldn't get blocked. Story number 5 is coming to us from r/entitled people. Airport gate seating. A mind-boggling exchange at the airport this weekend. The gates were packed. The seating area is full, people standing around and sitting on the floor. I spot an open seat at the end of 3 chairs. At the far end was a woman, bags in the middle seat. The last seat is open. So I sit down. She looks up from her phone. That's my husband's seat. I point at the bags and ask who's sitting there. She scowls and repeats that I'm in her husband's seat. I tell her he can sit where the bags are. We bicker back and forth, and I tell her it's standing room only. You don't need 3 seats for 2 people. Her husband returns from wherever he was. He's glaring at me, and together they huff away to stand at the gate. For the next 10 minutes, I look up to see them scowling at me, then laughing at me, for whatever. I enjoyed sitting, as did the 2 others that grabbed the vacated seats. I'm too old for that crap. Yeah. It was so easy. Her husband wasn't there. It was fair game to take the seat, and she was selfishly, inconsiderately taking up another seat just with her bags. Your bags can go on the floor. You realize how dirty your bags get when you go to a public restroom or when you put them on the airplane. The bags can go on the floor. She was being selfish and entitled. I'm glad you didn't let her bully you. Oops. Story number 6 is coming to us from r/entitled people. People who want a discount for no reason other than trying to get over. I tried to go shopping again with a cheap friend. She has this high-pitched, nasally voice with a Jersey accent that seems to turn on at will. She has embarrassed me, her husband, kids, and other friends, trying to basically scam people for a tiny discount. I get a high from it. Smoke a joint if you want to get high. Or don't. Don't do that. We went shoe shopping. There was a barely noticeable scratch on the bottom of the shoe. Can you come down on this? They look used. They said no. She kept arguing and getting really belligerent. They asked us to leave. I called an Uber and left her there. She did this once in the Disney store. They laughed and said Disney doesn't do that. She tries to justify it by saying she's Jewish, so it's okay. Well, the mods and pet peeves told me to post here, so here it is. Why are you hanging out with her? Because she doesn't sound like a great person to hang around with. Not only is she trying to essentially cheat them, but then she has the nerve to get belligerent about it. You were wrong in the first place. Don't be mean to people. This is weird. Oh, I can see a comment from OP. Someone else commented first and said, stop hanging out with her, she's gross. And OP replied and said, I cut her off again. Her husband left her. She pawned her wedding ring and her son's gaming stuff for drugs. He cut her off a long time ago. I had a moment of weakness and gave her a second chance like an idiot. At least you acknowledge that this was done. Story number 7 is coming to us from r/malicious compliance. Toxic ex-boss begs me to leave a company review. I give him exactly what he asked for. For context, I, 29 male, recently quit my job as a specialist at a small planning and design firm somewhere in Germany. The place was a mess. The pay was a joke. The leadership was completely unpredictable, and they expected me to do the job of a fully qualified project manager, like planning the entire renovation of a large municipal facility, without the pay or the support. The turnover was crazy. 3 of my colleagues quit around the same time, and during my 4 years there, I'm already surprised you made it 4 years, my boss went through 5 different assistants. I eventually packed my bags and moved to a different city for a fresh start. A week after my last day, my former boss texted me. He casually asked me to please leave a review for the firm on a popular local job review site, basically our equivalent of Glassdoor. He genuinely thought we parted on great terms and assumed I'd drop a 5-star rating to boost their crappy score. I just rolled my eyes and ghosted him. Fast forward to a few days ago, I checked the company's page and saw 3 brand new 4.5-star reviews posted in the same week. They were so obviously fake by faked by management. They all use the exact same HR buzzwords: great work life balance, amazing health benefits, which was literally just 15 minutes of stretching on Wednesdays, and magically praised all the exact things people usually complained about. At this point, I remembered his text. He wanted a review? Fine, let's comply. I sat down and wrote a brutally honest, mathematically precise review. I kept it completely professional and entirely subjective. In my experience, I felt that, so they couldn't legally sue me to take it down. I gave them 1 and 2 stars in almost every category, explicitly mentioning the lack of support, the horrible communication, and the heavy workload. I'm surprised they got 2 out of you. But I didn't stop there. While I was at it, I contacted the platform support team and reported the 3 new 4.5-star reviews for manipulation, pointing out the identical wording and the fact that they were posted at the exact same time. Less than 4 hours later, 2 of the 3 fake reviews were nuked by the platform. The automatic spam filter probably caught them because my boss was dumb enough to write them from the same office PC/IP address. With his fake reviews gone and my honest 1-star review dragging the average down even further, panic mode set in. How do I know? Because my ex-boss texted me again. This time the message was full of typos, desperately asking if I could please leave a good review to help them out. He has absolutely no idea that I'm the one who tanked his rating and reported his fakes. I left him on red again. The cherry on top? A buddy of mine who still works there texted me yesterday. He said my review perfectly hit the nail on the head. He also mentioned that since the review dropped, management has suddenly been acting super nice and accommodating to everyone out of pure fear that more people will quit. Oh, that was a good one. That was good. You complied. You simply did as he asked. He asked you to leave a review, so you did. It really amazes me when management can be this dense, not understanding how miserable the working conditions are. Like he fully wrote you expecting that you were going to leave a good review, as though you had a good experience there. Sure, you lasted 4 years, but that doesn't mean it was a good 4 years. Hopefully they're starting to learn. They're starting to realize that the culture is not good, that management needs to be revamped. Hopefully, but I don't have high hopes either. Story number 8 is coming to us from r/malicious compliance. Boss chastised me for a late lunch during a mission-critical outage, so I clocked out when the whole network went down. The short version. Small business. This is my first IT job, but I have decades of blue-collar experience. I was the first IT person the company ever hired. My associates in IT, specializing in networking, only a few gen ed classes away. My boss kept the platter spinning, but he has no formal training or amateur desire. He wants to offload the tediousness. 3 days prior, I was trying to get a mission-critical computer up and running again, the only computer with the shipping software, and hundreds of packages waiting to ship. I advised an immediate reimage, delete everything and reset to a known good save. I had it on deck for just such an occasion, but it was overridden by the owner, who wanted me to keep Windows in situ and delete/reinstall programs piecemeal and deal with phone support for those programs because he paid extra for tech support. His call, I followed orders. I was on the phone for hours and did not leave my post until the job was done. That meant I took my lunch half an hour later. No big deal for me, but when I clocked back in and got back to my desk, my boss was standing there, fuming, because I took a lunch outside of normal hours. He insisted I must take my 30-minute lunch from 12 to 1 as per company policy. So today, the whole network goes out at 12:25, and I had not yet taken my lunch. Nothing can ping anything. My own personal hunches tell me this is because it's a factory building and there are a lot of high-voltage woodworking machines for factory production level output, and all of the Ethernet cables are unshielded. Just my hunch. But I really can't do a damn thing because my company rents out office space as a subletter, so we are not allowed access to the switches and routers. I have no admin access to the infrastructure. So I set up a Wireshark to record and a continuous command line ping and go to lunch. Boss is standing at my desk when I get back today and gives me a passive aggressive, "The network is up, by the way," but refuses to call me out further. I had the "I told you so" on deck though. He said 12 to 1. He did not give any exceptions. You followed the rules. Sucks for them. So let's go ahead and finish today with a random act of kindness. Story number 9 is coming to us from r/random acts of kindness. Kind elderly ladies helped me have a great prom experience. I come from a pretty conservative Indian household who were afraid to let me go to prom and were strict about how I dressed. My mom thought prom was a place where teens got kidnapped, did drugs, and got knocked up in the same night. After lots of discussion, they said okay, and I went to try on a dress with my mom. Found a baby pink strapless gown I felt absolutely beautiful in. When I walked out, Mom said it was too immodest, and I looked terrible and went to find a new one. I just stood there looking in the mirror in shame. 3 old white ladies at the fitting room next to me saw me and told me I looked like a princess and that dress was made for me. And their kindness in that moment made me tear up. When Mom came back, they told her subtly they thought it was perfectly appropriate and a lovely dress. Mom ended up relenting and got it for me, but added straps to it, which I promptly ripped off at prom. Had my first kiss and slow dance with a boy who asked me out after. It was raining and my feet hurt, so he carried me all the way to the car. Like a real princess. He bought us ice cream and we watched the stars before dropping me home. I felt like all the movies were real. I won't forget you, my white fairy godmothers. Not that the race is important, but I struggled being one of the only Indian girls in that community, and lots of people weren't very nice about my culture to me. So along with helping me have a magical prom night, those ladies really helped me heal some of the misgivings I had about people, and reminded me kindness doesn't have a color. Years later, I'm still grateful. Wanted to say to Reddit moms and grandmas reading this, we love you. Oh, I'm so glad we ended with that one. I felt like our stories today were kind of heavy, so that was just such a sweet one to end on. So, I love it. All right, that was 9 stories for this week's episode of Petty Please. Thank you so much for being here for another episode of the Misty Morrison Podcast. Remember, start each day with a grateful heart. Kindness changes everything. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.